Hi everyone, welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Matos and Masai, the beginning of Matos, the Jewish people were commanded to take vengeance against the Midianite people, the women especially. As we mentioned in the past, the idea of the people's obligation to take vengeance. Here, the people had actually been merciful upon the Midianite women and did not have them killed them. When Moses saw that, he got very angry at them and he said, "You left over these women? These are the women, they're the ones that went on Bilam's direction specifically to entrap the Jewish people to sin," meaning Bilam had known. Bilam was the one who was hired by Balak, the king Balak, to go ahead and curse the Jewish people, that in order that they should be able to physically beat them in war. And Bilam had told him, listen, physically you're not going to beat the Jewish people. The only way to beat the Jewish people is to cause them to sin. Once you cause them to sin, God will depart, because the God of this nation hates immorality. And if you cause them to sin, so then you'll be able to wipe them out on a physical level. So when Moses saw that the women themselves that went out to go ahead and trap the Jewish people to sin were left alive, Moses got very angry. How do you let them still live? And the Maharal explains, I saw this from Rabbi Volbe, he brings down the Maharal, he says, what is so bad about adultery that Moses felt that this vengeance against them had to be executed, pun intended. And he explains like this, that the three cardinal sins that we know is murder, idol worship, and adultery. And what is so bad about these three? These three are the opposites of what the world stands on. The Mishnah in Avos tells us that the world stands on three things: Torah, Avoda, and Gemilas Chasadim. Torah, word, service of Hashem, and on acts of kindness. And each three, the opposites of each of those three are the three cardinal sins. Torah, the opposite of Torah is adultery. Explain how. The opposite of avodah, service, is certainly avodah zarah. The opposite of doing chesed is murder. So now, why is the opposite of why is the opposite of adultery Torah? So the answer is that the quintessential person is when he always puts his soul into gear. When he acts with his neshama, when he acts with the soul, and the quintessential thing for the soul to do is to be able to learn Torah. That's what we call in Yiddish the spitz. That's the height. That's the uppermost thing that the soul can do for itself in order to gain a certain loftiness. The opposite of that is when a person becomes very base, very animalistic. And when a person commits adultery, there's no soul involved at all, as we've explained before. It's simply a physical union. A physical union is only something that an animal does, and it brings a person down very low. As a matter of fact, we've taught before that when the Sota brings her offering, the Sota was the woman that was suspected of being an adulteress. Her offering is actually a barley offering, not the wheat offering. It's because barley is animal food, and that hints to her that she acted like an animal, so therefore she has to bring this. So therefore, the Midianite women, they stood for people of absolute no soul. They were soulless women, especially the woman themselves, because the woman has even higher levels of soul than men do. And they so debased themselves that they turned into animals, that Moses was so angry that the people didn't take vengeance against these women, that they had to be executed. And so therefore we're learning besides the fact that immorality is our undoing, what we're learning over that is the base of any person. They're tapping into their animal soul. And in this world, that's one of the worships that people do. People worship evolution, people worship immorality, and people worship complete and utter freeness, allowed to do whatever you want. And the Torah is teaching us this lesson. No. These were the wicked people. And Moses had to make sure that they were wiped out in order to take up Hashem's vengeance. Have a great Shabbos. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next week.